In this video, we're going to talk about whether or not it's actually important for you to have a page on your website about a hypothetical freelance service offering before you can validate it. Hey, this is Zach from Double Your Freelancing. This one comes up quite a bit. So I've been deep at work on the cold outreach course lately. And from talking with Thomas, the cold outreach guy I've worked with, who I'm basically collabing on the course with, we've decided it is indeed mission critical to have a website of some kind to run cold outreach successfully or any kind of marketing successfully, except perhaps Upwork, where people might not actually be looking at your website. But it doesn't have to be a super fleshed out website. Often a one-page website with like who you serve, the impact you're providing, a couple case studies, and a link to book with you is plenty. And so this question comes up of if I'm considering a new service offering. So let's say I'm going to solve blah, blah, blah specific valuable problem. And I want to reach out to some people to get some validation on that. Maybe I want to run cold outreach to see if people are interested, or maybe I want to hit up past clients or other people in my network to see if they're interested. Do I actually need to make like a landing page all about this offer on my website first? That's the question. And the answer from Zach in the present, not this Zach who's painting the question, is no, I don't think so. In my mind, the ideal flow looks a little bit like this. And by the way, I'm going to do it under the expectation of cold outreach versus your warm network, but it would be pretty much the same with your warm network or past clients or whatever. Cold outreach. Basically, step one in this flow is that you would send a cold email to somebody who's in your target audience and ask if they resonate with the problem, or better yet, point out that they are making some really expensive, bad mistake and that you have ideas for how to solve it. That's pretty much the basis for all of my cold outreaches. Because I do conversion rate optimization, I will have my first messages be like, hey, I saw something on your site that you could change to get more leads. And I've done this for blah, blah, blah other client. So that's like step one. You do your cold outreach and you don't talk about your offer itself. You only talk about the problem that you solve, because when you're doing cold outreach or when you're validating a service offering, your offer doesn't matter, really. Your offer is the how, but you don't need to validate the how first. You need to validate the problems first to solve. Like if you try to validate the how without validating the problem first, you're putting the cart before the horse, because what if people don't even care about the problem? And with cold outreach, given that the basis of the message is the problem, your response rates to your first outreach help you basically isolate the problem validation as a variable. So if you send 1,000 emails where you say, hey, I noticed something on your website that's causing you to not get email subscribers, and nobody responds at all, and your message doesn't suck, and your sending methodology doesn't suck, maybe you're starting to get some data that people actually don't care about this problem. Hope that makes sense. So that's step one of the flow. Basically, reach out, talk about the problem or the benefit, and see if you pique interest. Step two, they will probably click the link in your little email signature and go to your website, and they'll be looking at your content. They'll be looking at your headline. They'll be looking at how you define who you help. So if I reach out to a course creator and then they click to my site and there's a big ass headline that says, hey, I'm Zach, I help course creators earn more revenue by adding more email subscribers to their list. That's obviously like in the advertising world, it's called scent. It's a very good scent from the topic of the email to the thing on the website. So they go there and they're like, ooh, this dude helps people like me. And then they'll look for testimonials or other authority indicators to make sure you're not just some fly-by-night faker person who's going to disappear. So if they see video testimonials, case studies, that kind of thing, they're like, cool, this Zach guy seems to indeed exist. And that'll be the basis for them engaging. From there, they'll book a call with you. I mean, you're going to need to probably follow up and stuff, but that's the next step, is booking a call to talk about the solving of the problem. Still, the concept of the offer has not even entered into the conversation. It's literally just, hey, notice the problem. I'd love to talk with you about solving it. And then you get on the phone, you talk about the problem, you talk about if they're qualified to have it solved, and only then do you talk about the offer. And so in my mind, given that this is what I would consider to be the ideal flow, it would be incredibly premature to create a landing page on a website about an offer until it has been absolutely validated. I think you could probably get your business to the point where you've earned like $100,000 from a given offer without even needing a page on your website about it. If your website was solely about, hey, I solve this type of problem for this type of person, book a time with me to chat, you could make all the money you need to make. The only time you really need to put a page on your website about the offer is if you want to add friction for your sales calls. So if you go on a lot of sales calls with people who aren't qualified and you're starting to get annoyed by that, and you wish they could just like go look at the page first, make sure they've got the budget, make sure they've got the problem, make sure they've got enough traffic, whatever, that's when you roll out the offer page. But when you're trying to validate an offer and get data, any of this like asynchronous stuff is bad, because ultimately what you want is a live real-time conversation so that you can see people's reactions when you say something. So if you say, so in order to solve this problem, I'm first going to do blank, 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 and then their face goes like this, that's really good data. That's really good data about what people believe or what people are confused about, that kind of thing. And you don't get that if you publish this page on your site. And furthermore, your offer is going to change if it's a new hypothetical service offering. It's going to change after you do it a few times. So all this time you dump into the page is wasted. I found that usually people want to create these formalized pages because of imposter syndrome. They don't feel like professional enough. They feel like they need to have this in order to feel like they're real. And I definitely can appreciate that and relate to it because it's something I've experienced myself. And so that's why I think that the middle ground is having that kind of like 80-20 website, so that, you know, you've got the case studies, you've got the headline that's targeted at this kind of person, you do speak to the problem, but that you don't add what I call that premature scaffolding stuff. You don't add too many things you have to create before you can start talking to people, because ultimately, if you're trying to validate a service offering, the absolute most important thing you can do is talk to your target clients. So anything that you layer between where you are now and doing that is kind of maybe a waste of time, possibly. Obviously, I don't know your situation, but yeah, I'd be really ruthless about these unnecessary layers you might be adding for yourself, and just ask, what's the thing I actually need to do to get on the phone and talk to them? Talk about their problem and talk about how I want to solve it. And if it's not necessary for that, delete. Because ultimately, doing things like creating a landing page for your service offering take time, often a lot of time, often maybe 5 to 10 hours. And that 5 to 10 hours could have been spent doing cold outreach, getting on calls, creating even free content about this topic. Like, there are so many other things that time could be used for that would have a greater impact. I'm not sure if free content would at an early stage, but I digress. To recap the whole process before we go, basically, ideal flow for validating an offer, in my mind, on the back of cold outreach specifically, but it would apply to a warm method as well, be number one, you outreach to them, talk about the problem, talk about the opportunity, pique their interest. Number two, they go to your website, make sure you seem legit. Number three, you guys book a call to chat about the problem and the potential value of the solution. Number four, you say how you'd solve the problem, aka your offer, and see if they're interested. That's it. You can close clients that way. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you want to get a bit more clarity on how to create a really valuable service offering, I would recommend you check out our free Charge What You're Worth course. Helps you clarify the value you deliver, who you can deliver it for, and will help augment all 4 of these steps in the process. If you want to check that out, it is at dyf.link/pricing course. One word. Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, things like that. And I'll see you in the next video.